On this episode of Swamp Stories, we're talking about news in relation to video games. I'm here with Nyk Harris to speak on this.
Yo.
Nyk Harris is a senior at WBHS and is the captain of many esports teams. And our first topic is Nintendo suing the US government based on the tariffs.
So basically we're discussing how is it even possible to sue the government, the entire US government over tariffs. Like, I get the concept of suing them over the tariffs. It's just, how do you sue for tariffs? That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, especially since the tariffs are applied to every company, so it's fair. So I don't know what grounds they're suing them on.
I agree with that. I don't think it's a situation where they can really sue for it, since, like you said, it's fair for everybody.
Yeah.
So I say good luck to Nintendo in quotation marks. Good luck. So yeah.
So next topic is AI in relation to video games.
AI is useful when it's used properly, and I think in this situation, from what I've learned, AI is actually being used pretty dang well in most of Nintendo's products. Like, if we discuss how the new Resident Evil game that came out on the Nintendo Switch 2, specifically Resident Evil 9, and even one of the older ones like Resident Evil 8 and 7, they're using this new feature, this AI rendering tool and AI resolution enhancement tools, so it's actually possible to play your games at a nice constant 1080 to maybe even 1240p. Consistently with barely any frame breaks or any frame drops, and it looks really, really beautiful. In fact, it looks better than most PlayStation 5s. Not as good as the Pro, but it still looks pretty dang good.
Yeah, I think it can definitely be used in a beneficial way that's, like, not harmful to the creative industry. Because, like, the problem is that everyone always tries to use it in the creative industry, and then it just turns out bad for everyone involved.
Especially bad whenever, like you said, like, whenever they kind of take away from the creativity of the actual person. Like, it's a different thing you're getting for concept, but when you're just using it as your work, are you really even being an artist in that situation?
Yeah. So, I suppose we can talk about Nintendo's, like, newest directs and showcases. I know in the most recent partner showcase, I was watching it live, and I saw a bunch of people in the comment section basically asking for Mario and Kirby and Splatoon Raiders and wondering why it wasn't in that direct when it was a partner showcase, meaning it's not going to have any first-party titles.
However, I will not lie, I understand where some of them are coming from, but like you said, it is a
partner showcase.
A partner showcase, like, so we're focusing on the third-party games. We're not focusing on first party like Nintendo products. So I fully agree with that. Like, I don't understand why they're saying all of that. However, I will say, for the Nintendo Raiders, like, not Nintendo, for the Splatoon Raiders, I won't lie. Where's my information on that? Like, because in the last direct they had in February beforehand, we got no information on Splatoon whatsoever, and we haven't had a Raiders, like, trailer in over, like, 9 months.
Yeah, I think the last thing we've had about Splatoon is the new update where they added health bars and the aura thing.
Yeah, well, that's Splatoon. We're talking about Splatoon Raiders.
Yeah, like, no, we haven't gotten Splatoon Raiders info in forever.
That's what I'm saying, like, they're literally missing out on a whole genre. They did the same thing with Splatoon 3. Yeah. Gave us a whole year and a half before they said, oh, we did make that game. Here's the second trailer, and then it's releasing this following summer. Yeah, they'll
watch this age poorly as soon as it gets released, and just as soon as we're done recording here, they're gonna announce Splatoon Raiders info.
Man, I swear, if they do that, it's gonna be a situation where I might have to go to Nintendo. Well, hey, Nintendo, we got some heat. Because they do the same thing with so many other YouTubers. Like, they'll call something and they'll just go, nah, we had this under the radar the whole time.
So I suppose we can move on to talking about Pokemon Wind and Waves and just the fact that it's a new Pokemon generation and 3 new starters to pick from, and
we don't just talk about starters, we also talk about, like, the region it's based on, because it's going to be based on Indonesia, supposedly.
Yeah, Southeast Asia.
I'm not the most enveloped when it comes to the southeastern region of Asia. I don't know too much about their culture or the ways they do things. However, I know that's definitely going to influence the game. I just don't know how it's going to influence the game, and that's why I kind of want to ask the question: how do you think it would influence the game?
Yeah, I think it would, like, have a positive influence, I'd say, because most of the other regions seem to be represented pretty, like, fairly. And also I saw that, like, people who are from those areas were super excited to see their area being represented. So
okay. I'll move over to the starters. What's your idea on the starters? How you feeling?
I would definitely want to see their final evolutions before I make a pick, because all 3 of them kind of seem there's missing pieces. I can see the missing pieces that they need to fill in for them to be complete, because they seem just like they're starters, so they're not fully fleshed out as they could be, so we need to wait for their final evolutions to see what they're probably going to become.
I agree with that. I will say, though, the moment I see the second stage evolution, and I'm telling you, if my gecko is not walking on all fours, and I see it standing on both its legs, might have to squabble because I'm about tired of these bipedal Pokemon in my game. Don't get me wrong, I love a lot of the Pokemon we have in the game that are bipedal, but it's just like, when are we gonna have a quadrupedal starter?
Yeah, like the quadrupedal starters are like very, very lacking because Galar was all bipedal, and then in Paldea they kind of brought back. I think only Skeledirge is a quadrupedal.
Yes.
So it's like,
like it's right there. We have a dog.
yeah.
I don't really care what we do with the bird.
Yeah, before Galar was Sun and Moon.
We had Litten, Poplio, and Rowlet.
Yeah, there was Incineroar. I know everyone was angry about Incineroar.
How the cat that was on 4 legs turned into another cat that's on 4 legs, and they go to a cat on 2 legs.
Yeah, like there was no transition. It
Exactly.
was just instant.
And he's also a wrestler now. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah,
and
so people were angry about the bipedal thing for such a long time that I feel like, I don't know, maybe Nintendo would do it again, maybe they won't. Who knows?
I mean,
another thing we have to consider is that what if like all the bipedal starters were praised in Japan, which is why Nintendo's doing more of it? Because like the games are produced in Japan, so like maybe it's more listening to their point of view rather than the Americans, because they're like, oh well.
that's a good question. I have no clue there.
Yeah, because I have heard like regarding certain things, like where they like take certain influences, is that they mostly focus on the Japanese audience for certain things, which is why when some Americans will be screaming about one thing, they'll just do something completely different because they're more so listening to the Japanese audience. So I suppose our next topic is Pokopia, the new Pokemon game where you play as Ditto, who's transformed into its trainer. Which, it's a really interesting game, and it plays super well, I'd say. It's very, very smooth, and like feels very, very creative, because you can just make whatever you want in that game.
I'm not too experienced in the game. I just had like a 10-minute experience with it. Man, I ain't gonna lie. The Minecraft, it's there. Like I see some like really big Minecraft inspiration. I love it. Like growing up playing Minecraft, man, building my 1x1s and my when I say 1x1s, I really do mean 1x1 houses. Yeah. So like being able to like reconstruct a whole different house in a new art style that looks like 3D and completely bubbly, it's really nice to do.
Yeah, but what I do like that Pokopia does that like Minecraft doesn't is that you can just have house kits. Like, they'll give you a house kit that's, like, a fully built house, and you just gotta bring some Pokemon over to build it, and you got a fully built house that you don't really have to... You don't have to build everything yourself. They give you kits that are, like, starting points.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool. So, they give you a whole blueprint.
Yeah, basically. And it's also the highest rated Pokemon game as of now. So, that's... Like, out of all the out of all the first generation games, out of all the main lines, all the side games, it's the highest rated out of all of them.
That's saying a lot, because ZA is, I think ZA is a top tier game. Legends Arceus and, Arceus is a joke, by the way. Legends Arceus and Legends ZA, those are beautiful games. I think they're probably some of the best games Pokemon's ever released, but somehow they're not as good as Pokopia, which is very impressive. I won't even lie, because they were very highly rated when they first came out.
Yeah, because it's like Pokopia is a very lighthearted game that doesn't take even itself too seriously. There's a lot of meme jokes in it, because I know there's specifically the Charmander that says "I threw up," which like it's a very clear indicator they're not even taking themselves seriously, which is like a good quality to have in a game.
I mean, you say they're not taking themselves seriously. You want to talk about the Cubone situation? It's actually even crazy when you think about like the whole entire like lore of the games. It's like a post-apocalyptic Kanto, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, post-apocalyptic Kanto.
And things like, I want to know how long it is based on what I've seen and how the destruction is. I'm guessing about 60 maybe 50 to 60 years in the future.
Yeah, it's really unclear. But like, so the whole plot of the game does kind of touch a bit on like climate change, because in a lot of the notes you'll find in the game, well, spoilers for the game, by the way, I guess, and a lot of the hidden notes you'll find for the game, there'll be notes on like talking about how there's more and more natural disasters happening and how the humans started making a plan to go to space instead. And I suppose they all escaped. Who knows? I haven't gotten that far into the game yet. So I suppose I'm not really spoiling too much. But like, the fact that there were more and more natural disasters happening, signifying like climate change and stuff, probably means that it's probably more 200 years in the future, maybe more, because like I feel like it would take a bit, hypothetically, for the Earth to go back to its normal state if things were really that bad where humans had to leave. Though I do think, unless there's anything you want to mention, Nick, that I think that's all.
I guess that's really it.
Thank you for listening to Swamp Stories. Be sure to subscribe so you'll be notified when the next episode drops. See you later.
Peace.